Well, hello again. This is Brian Copeland talking. Welcome to another edition of Copeland's Corner. First time I've done this in about 3 weeks. I've been down, had a little bit of sinus surgery, and I've been recovering from it. So special thanks to my pal Tom Sawyer for holding down the fort here on the corner. By the way, I want to apologize for the bags under my eyes. If you were watching me on YouTube, allergy season has started. So it's like I can't catch a break. I feel like Job with all the things that are plaguing me. Lots of things that are plaguing the country now. We're going to talk about that. Some of those things anyway, in Headliners on the Headlines. Coming up right now. Joining me in my distinguished panel of comics today, we got Brian Malow here and Blaine Capatch. Good to see you guys. I was saying it's been forever since I've seen either one of you.
Yeah, didn't I see you a couple of months ago when I did this?
That's what he means by forever.
Yes. I was
what's funny?
Matt Weinhold and Karen Anderson.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that we've done over 200 of these now, and they all blur.
I've done 200 of these too, and you only remember that.
Yeah, Brian, I was on a couple months ago too.
You did it too, yeah.
David Spark and
Dave Spark, hi, buddy.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm getting Alzheimer's early. I'm sunsetting right now.
Early onset's the best onset.
Now, where are you guys?
I'm in Los Angeles in Los Feliz.
How close
you're
to the
Los
fires
Feliz?
were you?
Like Kevin Katoka? I
Yeah.
am in Raleigh, North Carolina.
You live there?
I actually live here.
Wow. How's
It's
the
crazy.
new Charlie Goodnights there?
Not wow. Why?
You know, it's no longer Charlie Goodnights. It's just Good Nights
Okay.
for a few years. And yeah, and they moved from this classic location that was
Yeah.
a really cool historic building and
love
it
that
had a neat
place.
shape with there was a great green room all the way upstairs. But they moved into a new location that's also pretty cool with a big room and a small room.
Last time I did Charlie Goodnights was Drew Carey and Brendan Walsh, and I did it.
Oh wow.
And this was in 2013, I think. And I remember after the show, we went down in the restaurant where they used to have those rattlesnakes in the cage in the tanks. But we sat down there, and Sinbad was in town, and Sinbad came over to see Drew, and we sat in the basement. And we talked about comedy in the dark, and it was one of the best comedy moments. And it was right before the Bill Cosby monster revelations came out.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all talking about, because Sinbad worshipped Bill Cosby. And so we were just talking about Cosby and what an influence he was. And we had, the things were starting to trickle out about him, but it was just a great comedy memory for me.
I opened for Cosby at the Paramount Theater in Oakland about 3 weeks before the bomb blew up.
Ooh.
About 3 weeks before. Yeah, every time he would come to the Bay Area, a couple, 2-3 times a year, I would either introduce him or open for him.
Wow.
And, so it was right before this. And I've got a tape of it. I've got a recording of it. My manager wanted to send him to Montreal, so I've got him, walking up and shaking my hand and stuff, and coming on stage. So I didn't send that tape.
Right.
We never sent that video.
In 2009 or 10, I was making science videos for Time Magazine, and I interviewed a guy named Elon Musk on the floor of the SpaceX factory.
Yeah.
For about 15 or 20 minutes. And back then,
and then he fired you.
He was barely a billionaire. What'd you say?
I said, then he fired you.
Exactly. But at the time, it's one of those things where I have a couple interviews like this, where at the time it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it got a little weirder to say that you interviewed him.
I've got a picture of one of the times I was with him, and he's sitting. It's with me and one of the producers from KGO Radio, a woman, Jules Bernstein, and my daughter, Carolyn, who was just out of college at the time. And he's holding Jules' hand in the picture. She's,
wow.
And I posted it and said, this didn't age very well, did it?
Ooh, like a fine milk.
A fine raw milk.
All right, lots going on. So we got lots to get to. So let's jump into it. I want to start with this. This is an address that was given a week or two ago by the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. So take a look at this, and I want to ask you what you think about it.
The root that tears apart your house's foundation begins as a seed of distrust and hate and blame. The seed that grew into a dictatorship in Europe a lifetime ago didn't arrive overnight. It started with everyday Germans mad about inflation and looking for someone to blame. I'm watching with a foreboding dread what is happening in our country right now. After we've discriminated against, deported, or disparaged all the immigrants and the gay and lesbian and transgender people, the developmentally disabled, the women and the minorities, once we've ostracized our neighbors and betrayed our friends, after that, when the problems we started with are still there staring us in the face, what comes next? All the atrocities of human history lurk in the answer to that question. And if we don't want to repeat history, then for God's sake, in this moment, we better be strong enough to learn from it. My oath is to the Constitution of our state and of our country. We don't have kings in America, and I don't intend to bend the knee to one. If you think I'm overreacting and sounding the alarm too soon, consider this. It took the Nazis 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 days, 8 hours, and 40 minutes to dismantle a constitutional republic. And all I'm saying is that when the 5-alarm fire starts to burn, every good person better be ready to man a post with a bucket of water if you want to stop it from raging out of control.
Get the gist of it.
I saw that.
Okay,
Yeah.
So
Which was good.
as he goes on, he makes the statement that he pretty much straight out says that MAGA they're Nazis, and he actually says that all they've done is exchange the swastika for a red hat. Now, my question to you, gentlemen, is: do you think that he's being hyperbolic? Do you think that what he's saying is accurate? Or do you think that he is overreacting?
Well, I think I agree that there's that what they're doing is Nazi stuff. I think the problem is there's no that the Nazis are specific to World War II and the Germans, and we need a word for our own Nazis. We need to rename them the way I just renamed myself on this Zoom panel, and it's, I mean, you know, we could call them Republicans because all the Republicans they're all part and parcel of this, each and every one of them. But you can't call them Republicans because we've called them that for 80 years.
Wait, 1 second.
Years.
In fairness, each and every one of them is not. There are plenty of Republicans who are against this, but they're still.
They are, but they're.
We're not hearing enough from them.
Yeah, if they're in that party, then they support it. They voted for it. They support it. You know, it's like they say. You know, what do you call 9 people at a table with 1 Nazi? You call it 10 Nazis. If you're supporting it, you're a good German. And that's, you know, I mean, I know that there's, you know,
groups are speaking out. There are plenty speaking out, man. Republicans against Trump.
But when it comes down to it, they vote for his nominees, and they voted for him, and they vote for Republicans in national elections. And like I said, I mean, I have family that voted for him, and I feel bad about it. But it's if you're gonna put the hat on, own the hat. I think MAGA is about as close as we could get to it. And I think blue line flags are swastikas. Anyway, are we recording?
Yes,
yeah,
we are.
you know, when Elon did his awkward gesture, and we talked about that so much, it seemed ridiculous when days later he was literally speaking to a neo-Nazi party in Germany, and he had previously already amplified them and said like they were the key to Germany's future. So it's like everyone was so caught up in that gesture as if it existed in a vacuum, but it existed along with a lot of other things that made it pretty hard to deny what it was. We've known for years that Trump has some sort of admiration for Hitler, and he's talked about this and that playbook. They're just doing too many of this. So whether we call them Nazis or not, they're certainly following the playbook to scapegoat people, everything, to tear apart the guardrails. What's in a word? What's in a name?
Let me ask you this. James Carville says that Democrats should just get out of the way. And James Carville, who got Clinton elected twice, said that Democrats and those who oppose this should just get out of the way and let them do what they want to do because they're destroying themselves, and that you shouldn't get in the way of them destroying themselves. Now, there are lots of progressives who are mad at Carville for that statement. Others are saying, yeah, I mean, we've all heard that. Never interrupt your opponent when he's destroying himself. So What do you think? Should we be fighting, or should we just step out of the way?
Well, I think part of that's true. It's I think that we should just let them do whatever they want as fast as they possibly can, so that we can kind of get everything out on the table. But there's also, you can't just let it happen without trying to stop it. Because I mean, it's like, oh, let's just let Godzilla get tired. He'll get tired,
right?
And okay, well, he'll
get a sore throat and not be able to breathe fire.
Yeah, he'll get tuckered out, and he'll sleep in the car on the way home. But in the meantime, he's going to destroy New York or Tokyo.
That's the thing. It sounds too. Sorry. No, it sounds too much to me like just lay back and enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, it's going to happen, so just may as well let them own it. It's like, yeah, well, they're owning the complete dismantling of a functioning government that, for 450 million people.
Well, but here's the thing too, is that I'm sure you guys have seen these videos of Republican congressmen going back to their districts and having town hall meetings in real ruby red districts, and they are getting reamed by their constituents who are yelling and screaming and booing, the representatives saying, we didn't elect Elon Musk. We did not elect. Who elected him? Who voted for him? Yet here he is making people justify their jobs, and it's so bad that Republicans are talking about not doing town hall meetings anymore. And they say that this looks like, when you listen to what they're saying and how many of them there are, that it looks like the Tea Party movement. So that, you may actually see something. They're getting pushback. They are, in fact, getting pushback. So do you think that this pushback is going to have any resonance whatsoever in terms of what it is that the party does going forward?
Well, I think that the pushback that they're getting, like you said, it's like, well, we'll just pretend we'll stop having town halls. It was like, well, COVID will go away. If we don't test, then we won't know it. Then all the results will go away. And I think that some guys might lose locally. Down ballot, they might suffer, but I don't think any of this is going to have any effect on Trump or the administration. They're in, and they don't care about polls anymore. They don't care what their constituents or the voters want. All they're doing is whatever they want. They lied to get in office, and now they're there, and they're doing whatever they want. And it's like, well, we're going to sue you to stop them. Oh, we're going to, this is illegal. They don't care. They're not listening to any sort of legal stuff. They're not paying attention to lawsuits. They're just doing it. So,
well, actually, today we record this on Wednesdays, I should mention, and we drop
Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays, yes.
So we're recording this tomorrow.
Let me put this out. Okay, so Musk lost it today when Donald Trump got nailed by when his proposals got slammed down, his executive orders, by 3 judges within 90 minutes. 3 different judges in 3 different places, 3 federal judges in different places. And what they did today is they blocked his freeze on foreign aid and said to pay the foreign aid immediately. They blocked the freeze on federal loans and grants, and they refused his refugee ban. Now, this I love. Okay, Elon Musk, all this happened within 90 minutes, and Elon Musk lost it. He said, and this is a direct quote, "What is the point of having democratic elections if unelected activist judges can override the clear will of the people? Well, that's no democracy at all." Can you see the irony in that statement? How dare these unelected people?
No,
yeah.
That to me, it's part of that. That's not brand new. Musk saying that, because I heard that before, and I see it along as a pattern with J.D. Vance said something similar but different. Trump himself said something, and I just think it's propaganda. I think it's them rewriting the Constitution it's not for us. We get pissed when we see that. Mm-hmm. It's having an effect on their followers. It's saying, why should we, like J.D. Vance's was slightly different, but essentially it's like, why should we let some liberal unelected judge tell the president what he can do or not, just because it's in but they're trying to pass it off like it's unconstitutional when it's clearly
it's checks and balances. It's separation of powers. And I mean, it's amazing to me how many Americans have no idea about American civics. I mean, did you guys have civics in high school? Or I
had an 89 Civic with no air conditioning and a full space.
There's the
Drove
problem.
it across the country 3 times. Never had a problem with it. Cried when I traded it in.
What did you
you mean class?
A gremlin? Did you get a gremlin when he traded it in?
Yeah, I only get those when I fly.
So what do you think?
Sorry, what was
the question?
That people don't know what's going on.
Well, about civics.
They're taking advantage of the fact. They're taking advantage of the fact that people have lives to live, and and not everybody is living online. Not everybody is a policy wonk or anything. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's the people that are like, wait, I didn't think I was going to lose my job.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that too. As a matter of fact, so Musk has fired 300,000 people. And today, Trump has told all federal agencies to be prepared for massive layoffs. And
that'll help unemployment too.
Yeah, no kidding. 300,000 people he has let go. And I've seen a number of interviews with federal workers who have lost their jobs who voted for Trump. And they're pretty much they're all saying the same thing. I believe in smaller government. That's one of the reasons I voted for him. But I didn't know it meant me. That's what they're all saying. I didn't know it meant me. So what would you say to these people? If you could speak directly to one of these Trump voters who just lost their job at a government agency because Elon Musk fired them, and they're saying, well, I didn't know it was going to affect me.
Well, it's that's too bad, so sad. I really don't care how it affects them. I care how it affects me. If we're going to be selfish, then I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to worry about me and my family. I'm going to worry about my community and my future, because the decision that they made to vote for this affects me too, not just them. And they want to make, if they're going to cry like babies about it, well, tough fucking shit, babies. If it's we all knew what was going to happen. He was president before.
We warned you.
He had a record to run on, and it's not like these people weren't born then. They were, they were adults back when he was president the first time. And it's the active dismissal of history and memory that's just. I just no sympathy. I mean, I get it that they're people, and you don't want people to be hurt, and you don't want their families to be hurt. Fellow Americans, bullshit.
Let me play devil's advocate a little, but let me ask you first, just as an aside, like, how bad do you think worst case scenario is here?
I think worst case scenario is that he fires so many people that none of these government agencies can work effectively.
Yeah, no, I mean bigger than that. Like, I mean, how Hitler-esque do you think? Like, I'm a little tired of people just saying in 2 years we'll turn it around with the elections. No. I have no confidence that we have control of the elections anymore. So as long as we're online with agree that the possible worst case scenario is the worst fucking case scenario, then here's what I think. I saw something on Lincoln's birthday that basically, it was a historian sort of speaking for Lincoln. What would he say in such divisive times? And he said something like, an important part of building a political majority is making alliances with people you disagree with.
Right.
And that's something the right has always been way better than us at. We are so divided. We could be aligned 99%, and you say one wrong thing, and it's like, you are not on my team. Mm-hmm. And so I've seen this conversation playing out in social media where I feel it too, where people are like, fuck that, no sympathy. You voted against our lives and all that. And that's all true. And then some people are like, but we have to be sympathetic. I'm not going to say that. But I will say that there may come a time here where we need all hands on deck. We don't have to respect them and be totally forgiving. But I just think that I don't know how to, it's complicated. I feel that. I want them to suffer too. I like this Reddit subreddit, leopards ate my face. I enjoy it and I want to see that. But the two things I keep thinking are, when it comes down to it, we're going to need all the numbers. And if they're coming around to this isn't what I voted for, the problem is they're not accepting accountability. They're not like, oh, I was wrong about trans people or brown people. They're not doing that. No. But I just have this feeling like we're in media silos. You wouldn't believe how different. They haven't heard all the stuff that we've heard.
It's an alternate universe, and Rachel Maddow calls it. You know, when she's talking about us, I mean reality. She calls it Earth One. Here on Earth One.
So, and I'm not even saying that to be sympathetic to them.
But one thing I disagree with you on, and that is I don't want. You said we do want them to suffer. I don't want anybody to suffer.
I mean, I don't really want to, but we're mad at them for doing this.
And again, we told them they were. You can't say that they weren't warned.
But we're fake news. You're some libtard fake news. They've been conned and manipulated. And again, I'm not even saying this to be sympathetic. I just think in the end, we always said the only thing that'll bring us together is if there's an alien invasion.
Right.
When it comes down to it, we may need all hands on deck. And the one other thing I thought is that they are in a media silo. If we don't try to straighten them out, no one is. We are the only ones that can point to them. I mean, I think most of them are not reachable. But there might be some
they're
that
not
are reachable.
They're only getting their news from one or two sources, and if everybody else is lying, I mean it's from the dictator playbook and the cult leader playbook, is that everybody else is lying. Which makes what he's doing now even scarier. In that, for the first time ever, the White House has announced that they are going to choose the reporters in the White House press corps. Now they've already kicked out the Associated Press. They kicked out the AP, which is the news organization where so many newspapers and news websites and television news sources get their information, all because they made a reference to the Gulf of Mexico instead of calling it the Gulf of America. Now today, the latest is
the dead name. They dead named it.
Well, today they're apoplectic. Because people are apoplectic because he's kicked out HuffPo. Because their reporter is too rude in terms of what the questions that he asks. So bottom line here is what you're going to have is, the White House press corps is going to look like Fox News. They're not going to put anybody in there who's going to ask him a tough question. It's all going to be people who are going to be sycophants. So that means it's going to be even harder if you cannot report on this. If you cannot report on what is happening and cannot report accurately, and I'm talking about the legitimate news, then I mean that makes the legitimate news useless. Absolutely useless.
Well, I think that what's happening now, it's like all the news that's coming out of the White House is fan fiction about itself. And I think for the next 2 or 4 years, I think I'm just gonna kind of tune it out and know that anything that they say is a self-serving lie, or it's a rewriting of not history but what's actually happening. So they it's like I keep thinking that when inflation goes up, and it's going to go up, they're just going to say no, it's down, and they'll print that. So we're going to have to, up will genuinely be down. And, it's going to be, I don't want to say Orwellian. That's very hacky.
That's happening.
That's true.
They are saying that. They are saying the exact opposite of the truth frequently.
Yeah. I mean, a perfect example is January 6th. I mean, we saw it.
Yeah, we saw it.
We can see January 6th by going on YouTube and looking for the video anytime we want. Yet there are still people who don't believe that it was violent. who do not believe it was an uprising.
I watched footage of a man hitting a cop with an American flag pole. I saw it.
Yes. I can't believe that made it out of the writer's room. I really can't. It's like, come on, guys.
Sometimes you have to kill your darlings.
Yeah, you can't write that. You can't write with hammers, you guys.
All right, last thing on this, and that is that the left is mobilizing. I saw an article today, I believe it was the Wall Street Journal, or the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post, about how the resistance is now building. People have had their heads in the sand.
Left feet forward.
People have had their heads in the sand since the November election, and now they're waking up. They're starting to protest, and Trump has taken over the army. All right, he is always, the president is commander in chief, but what he's done is replace respected, competent generals with sycophants who are going to do exactly what it is that he tells them. So if we see, we've already seen people marching in the streets, except it's going to become bigger. It's going to be much bigger. Do you believe that Trump would actually use the army, use the military against American citizens? Do you believe that is a legitimate concern, that that if that happened, he would enact the Insurrection Act and use it to have the military shooting Americans?
I do. And the fact that the head of the military is a Nazi doesn't bode well.
No.
He's got white nationalist tattoos, and if you want a good read, check out his Wikipedia page, especially the part about his political positions, Hegseth. He's written a book where, he pretty much looks forward to the coming culture clash ending in violence. And that's the thing, one problem that how we're different is fewer of us are gun owners. And, some of those people would really enjoy kicking some brown or queer butts, and they would we don't savor that kind of stuff, but some of them do.
My fear is, and I've heard this for years, is that the American military would never fire on civilians. They would never shoot American citizens. And I'd like to think that, because I was born in the 20th century when that was kind of true. But now I'm afraid that they can't wait to shoot American citizens. We have people in there that are just crazy assholes, and they just want to shoot people. And I think that's what they're being told that's going to happen, and they're looking forward to it.
And here's the problem. Let me stop for a second. But here's the problem. It is illegal for anybody in the military to follow an unlawful order, and that would be an unlawful order, I believe.
Yeah, but they'll tell them it's lawful. And they'll have to believe it because that's an order.
Okay, well, when there's the Nuremberg trials later on, after this is all over, those are the guys that are going to go to jail.
Yeah.
But look, we had a civil war. Americans fighting.
It wasn't that civil, Brian. It wasn't very civil at all.
It wasn't a civic.
Here's something I never thought I'd say. Let's go now to Texas.
Oh my God, I
love Austin, man. Keep it weird.
I used to play Texas all the time. I used to play the Improv in Dallas, the Funny Bone in Arlington, the San Antonio Comedy Club. There was a Laugh Stop in Austin.
I love Texas. It really is like another planet right here on Earth.
I grew up in Houston and went to college in Austin. I spent a lot of time there. Well, and back then we all got vaccinated, as far as I know.
As far as you know.
Well, there is an outbreak. The biggest measles outbreak in 30 years.
It's in LA. It's in LA now. I read it this morning.
Is it?
It's in LA, yeah.
Wow. Well, we had the first death, or I should say they had the first death of a child yesterday.
No, it's we, Brian. We had the first death.
All right,
America.
Let's say we. All right, let's say we. Okay. We had the first death.
Coincidentally unvaccinated.
Of an unvaccinated child.
Yeah.
And they again, the worst outbreak in 30 years. Mm-hmm. And now, just something to think about. There have been a number of cases, actually, of parents who were like, I believe it's Christian scientists that don't believe in going to the doctor. They just pray away the illness.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe it's Christian scientists or people who subscribe to that we don't go to doctors thing, who prayed over their kid. Their kid had something that was treatable, that was curable, and they just prayed over him instead of taking him to the doctor, and the kid died. And so there are a number of cases where the parents got charged. Now, this whole thing about the MMR vaccine, measles, mumps, and was it rubella vaccine causing autism has been debunked by pretty much every legitimate medical authority in the world. The World Health Organization, everybody in the world. So if you don't vaccinate your kid for measles and your kid dies, again, this is something that's easily preventable. Do you think the parents should be charged with negligent homicide? I think it was something like that, negligent homicide or something along those lines that these Christian Scientist parents were charged with.
It's definitely negligence. It's parental negligence,
especially if they're vaccinated.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it was. Well, I'm okay, but just my kid. So and obviously they were vaccinated as kids, and nothing happened bad to them except the fact that they became Christian Scientists, I think. But I mean, my kid, like, I went out this right before we started broadcasting. I went out and asked my wife. I was like, "Hey, our kid has his measles, right?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's up to date." So he's up to date. But it's like I'm going to go get a measles vaccine. Because I'm almost 60, and I don't know if mine's wearing off or anything.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
I'm a little too old.
There's a certain we're in an age group where we got a single shot, and a few years after us, they started getting 2 shots. Yeah. So we might be protected, but there's no harm in getting a booster, and I'm going to get one.
Yeah.
And Kennedy has been silent.
Shingles too.
Kennedy has. That's a bad one. I had the shingles. Oh my God. I've never been so sick. I had the shingles vaccine. If you're going to do it on a Friday, because basically what it does is it gives you all the symptoms of shingles.
Yeah.
And I was.
Oh yeah, it laid me out. The first one laid me out.
I was sick as a dog on Saturday and Sunday, and Monday I was fine. And then the second one, I forgot that I got it. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, I came in to get my second one. They said, "Oh, you've already had it." Oh, I did. I forgot. So that's no big deal.
I had the craft shingles too, and they just made me sick to my stomach. But they melt so smooth. We'll be right back.
Right after this. Right after these messages. Okay, something completely I didn't get your answer. So, do you think parents should be charged, or do you think that's going too far?
Yes, no, it's not. It's like the parents that were convicted of negligence with the kid that shot up the school. Mm-hmm. I think parents should have to, I think they should have to take the hit for their kids doing that kind of stuff too. I agree. There's responsibilities to being a parent besides, just picking your kid up from practice or whatever.
Well, they knew this kid had in that case, they knew that he had mental problems.
They bought him a gun.
Yeah, gave him a gun on Thanksgiving as an early Christmas present.
Yeah.
And they were called into the school that day because on a math paper, he drew a picture of a guy with a gun shooting a bunch of people. So the principal called both the mom and dad in, and they blew it off and didn't take him out of school that day. And then later in the day, he killed all those kids.
The same day?
The same day that the parents were in the principal's office.
Yeah.
The same day. And so, and also, they had texts from the kid to other kids saying, I'm seeing voices. I'm not well. And I asked my parents my dad to take me to a doctor, and I'm paraphrasing. And my dad, basically said, "Man up." So they've got this was a really unusual case. I mean, these parents facilitated this.
That's clear.
Yeah. And so
what do you think? I've heard someone expressing, people like to blame the left for this reaction to the right, that the left took things so far. And the other day I heard someone who I thought was pretty smart, someone I know, going on about the idea of mandating vaccines, the COVID vaccine in particular, and that pushed people, and whether it was a good idea to mandate it. And it's tough because it was not so I don't think it was contentious for years and years. We've had situations like school and military or traveling to other countries where vaccines have been mandated because it's a public health issue. And it's, right. But I could kind of understand someone who's like, they're not I don't know, they're wrong, but where they're like, well, I don't have COVID. Why do I want to risk that shot? Why are you telling me I have to do it? I just think it's a little complex. I'm on the side of science and I've got but I don't know what to do. How do you what we do in terms of legislating? I'm not saying I buy that guy's reaction. I just wanted to hear what you guys think.
Well, I think that I'm going to tell you, I'm for mandating it. I have no problem with it at all.
Yeah.
There were 350,000 Americans who died from COVID in 2020, and they found that 100,000 of those died needlessly. They died because of pertinent information that was left out of briefings by the White House because they thought it would make the administration look bad. So, and I know people who lost parents. Ron Vai, who does this podcast a lot.
Lori Kilmartin.
Lori, yeah. Sorry, Lori too. Ron's dad, blew it off and refused to get the vaccine and went to I believe it was a Thanksgiving dinner celebration with his girlfriend, and everybody at the dinner caught it, and his dad died. So there are people who die. Herman Cain. Herman Cain, goes to that rally not wearing a mask because I'm not going to do, it's just crazy. I mean, why would you? People died. I mean, you're messing with people's lives. And I'll tell you that having Kennedy in there scares the shit out of me. It does. It scares
he's
the
such
shit
a
out
fucking
of me.
idiot. It's ridiculous. It's insulting that he's in charge of HHS.
That's true about a lot of those things. Scientists have had a problem with him for many years.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of arguments that are really hard when a MAGA person says, like, you only hate Elon Musk because he's rich. And you're like, yeah, that isn't even remotely true.
No, he's a dork.
You only hate RFK because now he's associated with Trump. Not at all. Scientists, he's been considered, I think, the number one spreader of misinformation about vaccines and other related issues for many years. But it's so hard to understand, like, does he believe he's doing the right thing or how?
Yeah.
I don't.
It's
hard
believe
to
he does.
tease out what's evil and what's sincere.
I believe he does. I've met him twice. I've interviewed him twice. I've interviewed him on radio and on television.
He's been told for many years by many scientists. He's been corrected so many times that it's like, come on.
No, I agree, but there are how many people who are wearing those red hats have been told everything as well, have been told the truth and facts about things. It's like they're immune to it. The mindset is that they're completely immune to it. So that's how he is. He's very strident and he is very set in what his beliefs are.
Can't change the mind of a true believer.
And so, and here's the thing to keep in mind too, in terms of the vaccine thing, and this debunked, this debunked theory that the MMR vaccine causes autism. There are people in educated liberal areas who are not vaccinating their children. I remember they had, a couple of years back in Marin County here in the Bay Area, they had an outbreak of whooping cough. I mean, my mother had whooping cough back in the 40s. I didn't know that. I've never known anyone who had whooping cough or who had polio. Those two things that were dead and may make a comeback. May in fact make a comeback. You
make America healthy.
Well, they say what's the thing that we need to worry about is this bird flu, because so far it has not jumped to human beings. But if it does, do you want these knuckleheads in charge?
Hey, wait, there's another have you heard somewhere in Africa, there's an outbreak of a weird new virus that has killed some people really quickly. And I don't think they've identified it yet.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
No, I have not heard that yet.
I'm smiling. It's like we're bringing.
Why? Yeah. Why? But
here's the thing. That's the other thing that bothers me is people are still very quick to say about Elon and Trump. When there's bad consequences, they go, they're stupid, they're incompetent. There is some stupidity and incompetence there, but look at the pattern. This isn't just incompetence. And how come we don't talk about Project 2025 enough? And I just pulled up this tracker. If you're not familiar with the Project 2025 tracker,
very familiar with
they've already And it's up from the last time I looked. 85 goals accomplished, 41 in progress.
Yeah.
And they're moving through them. And it seems like we should be talking like, and even those of us that know, it's like we haven't bothered to flip ahead and see what's coming. Like, why not? They are doing it. I don't know how far they're going to go, but they're doing it.
You know, the thing that's interesting to me is they keep talking about Trump doing all this stuff, but he's not doing any of it. They are putting stuff in front of him and he is signing it. This is being done by people who, you know, are like Elon. They're in the wings writing this stuff up. They were, you know, part of the Heritage Society and
Heritage Foundation.
Pardon me, I don't want to get sued by the Heritage Foundation.
You never know.
Society is what they're attacking.
Yeah, but it's all being done for him. There's this agenda that was just, now we're in office, we're doing everything that we want. And there's no accountability and no oversight. It's no
guardrails at all.
It's insane. I've said this before, but living in this country right now is like being asleep, or it's like being awake on the table, where it's you can feel the scalpel and you can feel all the incisions, and it's like, this isn't right, but you can't say anything and you can't move. It's like being duct taped to a chair during a home invasion.
There are people literally leaving the country. Everybody always says that, I'll leave America then. But I know people who are leaving. I mean, I personally know people who are afraid and concerned about what's coming. Hell, Eva Longoria left, and said, I'm not going to raise my kids in that kind of an environment. And I see what's coming. And she went to Latin America.
Even if you take out worst case scenarios, it's a really gross, ugly vibe going on here. It's like, did you see this thing where Elon tweeted about like enjoying watching Doge slash all these programs because I know I'm not part of the parasite class?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. No, I didn't.
He's losing his mind with levels of magnitude more each day. He is mad with power. He is finger tenting. He's out of his mind on ketamine, and he's just a megalomaniac trying to repopulate the earth with his IVF boys.
Well, which he has no contact with.
There are members of Congress in the GOP who are really trying hard to distance themselves from him after going home. Yeah, it is too late. I mean, how do you do that? How do you distance yourself and then support? And they're all basically saying the same line. We support shrinking government, but maybe it should be a little more thought given exactly how we do it. Instead of just, firing 300,000 people.
Yeah.
And they were saying, I was reading an article today about how we may see summer vacations going away. And one of the things Musk has said in the past is that he thinks that the 40-hour work week is ridiculous. It should be longer, and that he thinks that vacations are ridiculous. So they have cut staffing at the national parks. So if you want to go to on a vacation to the national parks, you're not really. It's going to be harder to do because
bring a bag to shit in.
Yeah, pretty much. And also by firing all of these people from the FAA. Now we got planes dropping out of the sky right now. People are going to be and already are concerned about air travel. So that messes up your vacation. So let me ask the two of you guys working as comics: are you concerned about flying in a plane right now? And I got to tell you, I am.
Well, I have a gig coming up this weekend in Guam, and I'm going to drive.
You want to hear a weird aside for a second? That Mitch Hedberg was a very good friend of mine, and his birthday was a couple days ago. He was in Guam opening for Tommy Chong when he wrote one of his best jokes because he went to this gift shop and he was going to get his mom something, and he decided to get her a gift certificate, and then he wrote this other gift certificate bit, which is a gift certificate is a bullshit gift, because what is it? You take money that was good everywhere and you ruin it. Just give me the 20. That's a universal gift certificate. And he said that I didn't smoke. Everyone tells us, did you get high with Tommy Chong? Did you get high with Tommy Chong? I did not get high with Tommy Chong. I had breakfast with Tommy Chong, but that's not as cool because Cheech and Chong didn't make a bunch of movies about eating omelets. So anyway, Guam,
brilliant.
I always associate with Mitch.
Guam.
I don't know. I'm definitely thinking about it. I mean, statistically, it's still pretty safe, but it's like, what the hell is going on with that? And yeah, I've definitely a little.
Where are you going to go? Wait, that's the question. If you left, where would you go? You know, as I said, Eva Longoria went somewhere in Latin America. She is where she's moved, and she's still flying here to do her projects because she's producing films and acting and things. But she does not want to raise her kids here.
My wife consolidated and confirmed her dual citizenship with Canada. Her mother is Canadian. So she has, now she has dual citizenship so that, at least she can escape with my kid.
Can't you be? You're not an honorary by being married?
Yeah, maybe. I could get one of those new gold cards that Trump is putting out, where I
$5 million.
give him $5 million and I can just have my, I could get the VIP room in the United States.
Oh, let me ask you this. Musk has been talking about giving every American taxpayer $5,000.
It's a good start. Every month, saving. Maybe I'll shut up.
Yeah. All right. So, do you think that that's gonna do anything in terms of silencing his critics? I mean, I'll cash it. I mean, are you
going to cash the shit out of it?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to come because look at all they're doing. Like, there's a level of evil here. It's one thing to give new tax breaks to people that absolutely don't need them, but at the same time, to raise taxes a little on the poorest. Mm-hmm. It's like, and then what they're doing with healthcare and, I don't think what's happening in the world of science, it's not getting the press it should. It's not. No, it's not. I happen to know hundreds of scientists, so I hear all these first-person stories today. Within the past couple of days, I saw it this morning. At a neuroscience conference in the hotel lobby, these unidentified red hat wearing guys were tearing down signs that had the word diversity. It was about nerve impulses. It had nothing to do with the diversity they hate. It was like so many of the words that they're banning, like bias and diversity and female, like these are science terms that are in physics papers. They have nothing to do with, and bias is a very common science word. And so when they go like just mindlessly pulling stuff down, and so many scientists, I don't think people appreciate those NIH cuts where he's trying to pass off as they don't fluff. That's not how it works. And institutes are going to close. Scientists are going to leave. It's going to be all the money he took away from ever.
All the money that he took away from research for cancer. I mean, there are a lot of medical breakthroughs and scientific breakthroughs that are not going to happen. He took money away from people who are working to cure Parkinson's. Yep. I mean, all this to give a tax break to millionaires.
But I think they're also they're creating. They stripped away health disease monitoring and health reporting. Some of this NIH stuff, they're not allowed to say anything about what's happening in their departments. So there's a level of evil here where it looks like they just want all the poor people to die. And it's okay because with the rise of AI, we don't need clerks at cash registers anymore.
Well, they're talking,
we're just the parasite class.
Well, they're talking about cutting Medicaid, but they're really debating it, but they don't know, but they're scared. It's like they're this goes to push the button, but
it's gone. It's gone.
Well, but they know that a lot of their constituents, and there are Republican Congress people going to Mike Johnson, the speaker, without saying, look, a lot of my people in my district are on Medicaid. They rely on Medicaid for their health care. We can't do this. We can't take away from this. And the president has said that he's not going to touch Social Security or Medicaid. And I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. No. So it's, this is the thing that this is part of Carville saying they're destroying themselves because he cuts Medicaid's like Medicaid and Social Security are like the third rail. I mean, you touch that, you die. I mean, it's that simple. So we'll have to see. Now, in terms of science, again, state of Texas won't do a study on the real total of how their near or total abortion bans affect women. So ProPublica did one. And among the things that they found is that the sepsis rate in the second trimester is increased by 50% since Roe fell. and in Texas, they banned abortion. 120 women have died. 120 women in Texas that they have been able to verify have died because they could not get the care that they needed. And that's another thing in that article about vacations, because it's kind of like they say, where are you going to go? Because if you want to go someplace where women's health care is restricted, and you're pregnant, you just want to go on vacation and you start to miscarry, there are a lot of states where doctors aren't going to come near because they're afraid of going to prison.
Yeah, they want to control women traveling over state lines. I think something that might happen soon is other nations are not going to allow American citizens to fly in without any sort of proof of vaccinations, or maybe there will be a travel ban. I would think if I were other nations, I would make it illegal for Americans to do medical tourism, where wealthy Americans, well, I can't get the research or the advanced procedures or medicine that I need here in the States. I'll just go over to Europe and get it. And it's because not everybody can do that, Not everybody who's living in Louisiana or Mississippi or whatever can go to Europe and take care of their miscarriage,
or get a liver,
or get a liver, or get cancer treatments. So I think this turning our back on science that's happening. The country that went to the moon. I think it's going to lead to the rest of the world just turning their backs and ignoring us and becoming this science and medical pariah.
And Brian, you essentially said this, but just to make it a little more pointed, that some of the research that's crumbling here, it's world class. So it's not happening anywhere.
No,
there are programs that America is leading the world, leader in so many fields. Take it away, it's not only damaging us. It's like there isn't anywhere else to go. They'll pick up the slack. Other places will, but such destruction.
Yeah.
There is a boycott that Al Sharpton started on the 28th because of DEI, and what the gist of it is. I have the list, but I can't find it. The gist of it is to not shop or buy anything. Here it is. It's not to buy anything on February 28th. Don't buy anything. Don't buy anything.
Friday, right? Yeah, it's Friday.
It's Friday. Don't shop online. Don't use Amazon. Don't use Walmart. No Best Buy, no McDonald's or other fast food places, because the only thing that these people recognize is profit and money, and the bottom line. So do you think this is effective? Because part of me thinks, okay, I'll do this, but all that's going to happen is people are going to buy the stuff that they would have bought Friday on Saturday. So they're still not losing any money.
Does one day make a difference? That's I have no idea. Here's another point though. It's okay if there's a local sandwich shop like that you could go buy a sandwich at.
Right.
But somebody pointed out, don't use a credit card. Don't use Visa or, those are, so, if you do support something, make it a local individual vendor and pay cash. But I thought it was odd that they started tossing that date around like a month ago. It's like, we got to fight the fascist dictator. Is sometime in March good for you? How about that? That doesn't work for me that day. The new episode of Severance will be coming out. So, does one day matter? We should maybe be.
Well, they're going to be more
boycotting some of those big stores already, though.
Yeah. Well, Target's profits from the toilet,
and Tesla's being sort of shunned worldwide.
Oh, they're being
alienated
hammered.
all the liberals that would buy electric cars.
When are his shareholders going to say, you know what, enough with this guy? He is damaging our investment. And I'm not a fan of shareholders because they're just this faceless greed machine that just wants money. Mm-hmm. But at some point, they're going to have to say, hey, this guy is really he's lost $300 billion of value in months. Mm. Well, and we're being associated with Nazis and fascism.
Well, I'll tell you, I saw an article this morning that says that his empire is based on $338 billion in government contracts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how the hell is this not a conflict of interest? How is this not a conflict of interest?
There's a third of a trillion in savings just by getting rid of Elon Musk.
Yeah. Hey, some of the things they're cutting, investments in NASA and other science return more than they cost. Social Security staff, by having them returns more than the cost. Like there are so many programs they're cutting that it's like
the post office.
Talking about efficiency, you're doing it way wrong for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're just about out of time, so I'm going to end on something completely.
Oh, have we started?
Different.
Oh, okay. Oh, Jesus, all that stuff I said.
It's not just me with sunsetting. Thank you, I appreciate that.
I'm into sunsetting.
I mentioned Amazon as part of the boycott on Friday, and last week. The Barbara Broccoli and the Broccoli family, who have produced the James Bond films since 1962, gave creative control to Amazon. There hasn't been a Bond movie in quite a while because Amazon bought. I guess MGM, because MGM had the rights. So Amazon bought it, and they have been in meeting after meeting after meeting. Where they've been trying to hammer something out, and Barbara Broccoli, was quoted as saying that they're idiots because they kept calling James Bond content. So for some reason, nobody knows exactly why she's now stepped back and is allowing Amazon to have complete creative control, and fans are just apoplectic about it because they say they're going to mess it up. Since they're calling it content, you're going to see a series called Moneypenny.
Oh yeah. They're gonna Star Wars it, and there's good stuff in the new Star Wars universe, but there's too much. There's good stuff in the new Star Trek universe. Some of it's too much. There's too much Marvel. Some of it's good, but it's they're like, oh, there's money here. Let's do it until there's no more money here.
Yeah,
it's cultural strip mining.
Boy, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy. That's exactly what it is. And the thing about Bond
patent pending.
They've always Bond films have always been an event. That's the thing. When they come out, it's an event. And by the time you put 500 Bond related series on Amazon, is there going to be a series called Spectre where we find out how Spectre came to be?
Spectre versus Smirch in Battle of the Network Stars.
Yeah, and then how about an animated series? Yeah.
All right, so you think they're going to ruin it, Brian? You think they're going to ruin it?
Probably. I mean, I've liked some Amazon content.
I do too. I do too.
So it's not a done deal, but it is pretty sad the way, don't private equity companies own most of the studios and stuff now? It's like, it's all content and it's all just bottom line. And where's the art? Yeah.
Well, it's like people
might make it and then write it off on their taxes and shelve it, and we'll never see it.
Yep.
That was weird, that Batgirl thing. Wasn't that weird? I mean, you have a completed film that you've spent, something crazy, like 50
Zaslav is like the Musk of show business. He is just this guy who's doing all these weird evil things for his own enrichment. That's bizarre. And again, it's like, I don't know why the shareholders don't step up and go, this guy he's deleting the studio's history, the cultural history of Warner Brothers. And he's doing it to change their profits into executive bonuses for himself and the executives.
What was the rationalization for not? Would it still have been billions invested to promote it? I mean, what was if the film was finished? What was the rationalization for not releasing it?
The film just for some kind of a tax break. There's some kind of tax break.
Exactly.
By not releasing it, and it can never be shown ever. In any form. And again, the film was done.
It was like the Acme thing.
What Acme thing?
Acme was a live action Roadrunner Coyote movie. And I
never heard of this.
Can't remember who was in it, but it's another thing that they made. I think I want to say Will Forte was in it, but it was they made it, they showed it, people loved it, and they shelved it. And they just like, well, we can make more. We can make more by writing it off on our taxes, and then they take the money that they would have put into advertising and they say that's our savings. We saved this amount of millions of dollars by not having to advertise this movie, and it's a complete write off. And then they take that and they roll it up into bonuses.
Well, the corporations own, as you said, they own all the studios. And as bad as the studio moguls were, I've never read a good story about Jack Warner anywhere. All I've ever read about Jack Warner is what a horrible human being he was. And Harry Cohen at Columbia, the same thing. But those guys, they cared about movies. They cared about the art and some of the best movies. I love old films. And by the way, I'm going to throw a plug to Greg Proop's film podcast because it's great. It's great. Yeah, it's great. He screens a classic film and talks about it. I mean, he does a deep dive about the film. So it's if you like old movies, check it out. Definitely, guys. Anything you want to plug? No.
I'm going to be hosting a Lucha Vavoom at the Mayan downtown Mexican Wrestling and Burlesque with special guest Andy Richter on March 6th for March Madness. And listen to me play
You're
Dungeons.
Serious?
I'm serious.
Yeah, I thought you were a kid.
No, we've been doing it for 22 years.
What's it called again? One more time.
Lucha Vavoom. And it's I host it, and it's Mexican Wrestling and Burlesque, and I do play-by-play on the matches. And it's you gotta see it to believe it.
This sounds made up. This absolutely sounds. This sounds like you made it up.
It does, but it's great. Like I said, we've been doing it for all over the world for 22 or 23 years now.
What's the date again?
March 6th at the Mayan downtown. Yeah. And and check me out playing Dungeons and Dragons with my nerd friends on Nerd Poker with Brian Posehn.
Nice.
Oh, that's great.
Available where fine podcasts are sold.
I'll be on an upcoming episode of Copeland's Corner. When does this start? And
I won't remember that you've done this one.
So here's something. I don't know that I want you to see it, but I've shot some stuff for. There's a show on. There's a Dan Aykroyd hosted show on the History Channel called The Unbelievable. And and it's all talking heads, and he's a host. Didn't get to meet him because we were all individually shot against green screens. But it's the second. I'm not in the first season, but I'm in a lot of the second season coming up. But I don't think I want you to go see it.
What's the premise of the show? What's the premise of the show? What's the premise of the show?
The premise of the show is unbelievable things like the world's tallest man, Robert Ludlow, or the shortest man, or stuff that the episodes are themed. So stuff that falls from the sky. Some of them are science-y. I like those, like the Chelyabinsk meteorite that exploded over Russia some years ago, or like crazy creatures like a hydra, or you know how hardy a tardigrade is?
Yes.
Or a hydra that you can cut it up and like each piece will grow in like an earthworm kind of can grow the other side. So some of them are like
that doesn't work with kittens.
Others, what was that?
It doesn't work with kittens if you cut them in half. I tried. I thought I would have two kittens, and I just
that's Blaine Capatch, by the way. Yeah, animal rights people. That's Blaine Capatch.
I cried so hard. It was a mistake.
But some of them are a little weirder, but it's been fun. And we're wrapped for the second season, but it was kind of fun. But
you know what? Why do you see it? You're embarrassed.
I need to see it first. I've seen some so far. Because they really prompt you to say certain things, like, because they have the beats worked out and there's what they want. And sometimes I'm like, I can't say that, but I'll say this. And so, but then they wear you down a little bit. And by the end of the day, you're like, I'll just say the thing. And then so far, nothing too embarrassing has shown up on the show.
Are they paying you?
Yeah.
Are you?
It's been fun. I had 2 or 3 shoots in New York and 1 in LA. So, yeah, it was kind of cool. I do wish I had gotten to meet Dan.
I'd love to meet Aykroyd. Absolutely.
Because I was there for the first,
Dr. Detroit. You're Dr. Detroit.
What's that? Yeah.
You're Dr. Detroit.
Oh my God, Dr. Detroit.
We were there for the original SNL. And
no, not me. I was in the boom. You thought you actually believed that for a second. No, you can't see it if you're not watching, but Brian's jaw dropped.
And by the way, hey Blaine, I want to talk to you later. I have some video of you that I've been kind of wanting to share.
Oh, I better have pants on. Yeah.
This sounds like a blackmail overture.
All of it. I have I think it was during the comedy competition, a set of yours at the SF Punchline.
Wow.
Blaine, opening with your friend.
Oh, that.
And a brilliant version of your whole vegetarian bit.
Oh my God.
It's awesome. That's kind of
Wow.
what I wanted to share. It's so good.
Okay,
Wow, yeah.
let's see, but nobody can see this. You know, you're
If
talking about this on the show, but nobody can go. I want to.
Maybe it'll show up on my YouTube channel if Blaine approves, which is
If I have my hair in it, you can put it up.
Oh, you've got nice long hair. You're a waif.
Yeah. Oh, those.
All right, with that, we got to
to
run, guys. Blaine, Capatch, Brian, Malow, thanks for being with us, man. It's always
Great to see y'all.
Thank you,
it's a
Brian. Thank you,
pleasure. Hope
Brian.
you'll come back soon. All right, that's going to wrap us up. I'll check you out next week. Till then, be kind to your neighbor. He knows where you live.